find a fragrance today? Did you have a preference? Oh, Summer Rain? Not familiar with that one. Let me get Crystal. She may know what it is. Just a minute. Hello! If any of you caught the illusion in that intro, congratulations. You also have seen one of my favorite movies. But anyway, we are doing a quick perfume video today. Actually, a lot of people have asked me about my favorite fragrances, and perfume is something that's relatively new for me as far as something that I'm getting into. I'm very passionate about it now. I've done a lot of research, I've done a lot of sniffing, and I actually really love fragrance. I love all the little nuances and the way that they smell different on different people. And so I thought I would share with you my perfume collection. I pretty much have all of my favorites now. It's something that I've sort of gained over the course of my job that I've had with Dillard's. So department store has its definite perks. Department store work has its definite perks. But I have all of my favorites mostly there. But also I am on a mission to collect all my favorite bottles. So even if the fragrance is not my favorite, if the bottle is beautiful, I'll tend to just kind of bypass that for a second, wear it sparingly, and keep the bottle. Perfume bottles to me are just like one of the most fun things about them. So I'm going to share with you my favorite fragrances, the ones that I have, and we'll get started right away because I have quite a few. My favorites I'm going to save for the end. So we'll start first of all with Marc Jacobs fragrances. I actually have two of them, and the rest of them I feel like are so similar to these two that I'm not just not into them. And I'll tell you some little details about each one and what I think it smells like. I'm not going to go into the whole top notes, base notes, heart notes, all that kind of thing, because I kind of feel like that's just, you know, it's not what I use whenever I'm selling a fragrance. I feel like I always tend to tell people what I love about it. So I'm going to tell you what I think it smells like. But one of my favorite summer fragrances is, and I do not have the top to this bottle. The top is quite exquisite. So if I had purchased it, I would have the top. I didn't purchase it. I got it as gratis. So it was actually originally an unused tester. But this is one of my favorites from Marc Jacobs. It's called Dot. And this fragrance is based on, the bottle is of course based on a ladybug sort of theme with the little pearls. I love ladybugs, and there's some on my lights right now actually because it's ladybug season. However, I think this is a fantastic fragrance. It's very summery, very fruity, but it also has sort of an undertone of cucumber to me, and I love fresh cucumber melony scents from like Body Shop and places like that. So this was a hit for me because it was a little reminiscent of that cucumber melon type thing. But it's also very delicate floral to it, and it's more long lasting. This is an eau de parfum. It's more long lasting than the others from the line, from his line, I feel like. Daisy, even the concentrated perfume, does not last on me at all. This one is the only Marc Jacobs fragrance I've tried that really lasts, and I love this one. And it smells wonderful when it gets into the folds of your clothes and all of that. So this is an excellent summer spring fragrance. It's very light and delicate, so I wouldn't say it's really suitable for winter, but I absolutely love it. And the top is actually huge. That's why the box that these come in is so big, but it's like a ladybug with all kinds of petals and things all around it. So someday maybe I'll have the top, but as of right now, the fragrance is enough. My second Marc Jacobs fragrance that I have, and the only other one I have, is the Oh So Fresh Daisy. I like Daisy, but I love Daisy Oh So Fresh. The only downside to this is I believe it's an eau de toilette. Yeah, it's an eau de toilette. So it's got water then oil in it. It's not oil based, so it's not as long lasting. It's not supposed to be as long lasting. This reads almost like a body splash, but it's also a very delicate summery floral. It's not as fruity as Dot. So I really like this also for spring and summer, and as you can see, it's a huge bottle, but the bottle has got the beautiful, you know, sort of vinyl-y roses or flowers on the top, the daisies on the top, and that's something that's sort of a theme throughout all of his fragrances, is this sort of floral theme with the bottles. The Daisy Dream has a really beautiful bottle as well. I'll post a picture of it around somewhere so you can see it as well. And then there's also more concentrated versions that are sweeter. I don't feel like that they are stronger, they're more sweet. So there are more concentrated versions of his fragrances, but this is my favorite of the straight floral fragrances, and it's very light and very nice and not too sweet. So it's excellent for spring and summer. The next summer fragrance that I will show you is actually called Eternity Summer. It's this one here. I do not like Calvin Klein fragrances. I'm not a big fan of Calvin Klein fragrances. I feel like that they are all sort of one note. They smell sort of dated to me. Maybe that's because when I was a preteen, Eternity, just straight up Eternity, was at its height, all the ads and everything, and I never really cared for that fragrance, so I very rarely even stop at the Calvin Klein fragrances and smell of them. But both the Eternity Summer for women and the Eternity Summer for men are fantastic, and these are limited edition, I believe. I think they kind of changed them up, but this one is very, very concentrated, basic floral. It smells like honeysuckle, I would say, more than anything else, and I love honeysuckle fragrances. I used to use an Avon fragrance that was strictly honeysuckle, so this is one of those ones that I think is very, very nostalgic for me, and that it makes me really think of that heavy honeysuckle fragrance that you get in the summertime in Tennessee. It's really, really concentrated though, and it's nice because it's sort of that heady aroma of the honeysuckle and the flowers, and it almost calls to mind, like I said, the heat and the humidity, but it's not it lasts. It's one of those ones that actually lasts. And this is an eau de parfum, so it lasts a little longer, for instance, than an eau de toilette. But this is by far my favorite of the Calvin Klein fragrances I've tried, and I actually don't really care for any other Calvin Klein fragrances enough to mention them. The next one I'm going to show you is another one that I feel like is really good for summer, but going into fall because it is very, very potent. This is the L'Odyssée by Issey Miyake. I really tend to love classic, sleek bottles like this one. I think they're so great because they're easy to spray. When you spray them, that's like so easy to grab onto and spray. But this one is really excellent because I feel like it's very beachy. It smells like the ocean to me. Seaside, beachy, wonderful fragrance. It is a lot stronger than I feel like it plays in the bottle. When you smell it in the bottle, it is definitely gives a sort of a false sense of lightness. If you spray it on your skin, it's one of those ones that seems to get stronger over time. So definitely be very delicate with how you apply this. This is one that works really great to spray and mist and walk through. It also works really excellently as a sort of, I'm trying to think. It works really great as a like spray behind your knees, but not up here in this general area, because the fragrance will, because those are pulse points, the fragrance will actually carry through the day, but it won't be overpowering. And it's surprising how overpowering this one can get. So it's a beautiful one as well. It's also an eau de parfum. So this is my favorite of his fragrances. He has one that's a floral, but this one to me does not read floral. Even though I think it is considered a floral, it doesn't read floral to me. It has sort of the same feel to me as the Acqua di Gia does, which is got kind of that ocean fresh aqua quality to it, and it's really great. The next one, I really got this one more for the bottle than for the fragrance. The fragrance is beautiful in the bottle, but on me it tends to read a little old lady, a little mature. This is the Misty Blooming Bouquet. This is the one that Natalie Portman does all the ads for. They're beautiful ads, but the bottle itself is absolutely gorgeous. Just the classic square bottle. I love the Dior bottles in general. I love the Dior fragrances in general. The Hypnotic Poison has a beautiful little apple-shaped bottle, and Chanel bottles are also beautiful, but I've just universally dislike Chanel fragrances on me. So I don't really even mess with those. But this is the Dior fragrance that I have. I have two Dior fragrances, actually. One of them is my all-time favorite. One of my all-time favorites. So I'll show you that one in a second. But this is the Misty Blooming Bouquet. It is a floral, supposed to be a light floral, but I feel like it's more of a classic powdery floral. It's definitely more floral than Miss Dior is, which to me reads very powdery fresh, or that heavy powder scent that you get from older perfumes. But it's definitely a classic light floral. I would say more like primrose, has definitely some rose quality to it. And it's summery, but it's also, just keep in mind that it does wear a little bit more like a powder. So it does tend to be a little bit more mature of a fragrance, but it's beautiful and it's classic. This is one that I would think would carry from summer to fall because of the type of fragrance it is, because it is a little bit more heavy. But I do love a creaminess to fragrances that I would wear in the winter. So the next ones I'm going to show you, well, not the next ones. A couple of the ones I'm going to show you are actually more creamy and tend towards the winter. One of my all-time favorite fragrances, the one I was speaking of, is Isadora by Dior. This one is my all-time favorite bottle. I think this is a beautiful, beautiful perfume bottle. I find it very genie in a bottle, sort of. And it's just so easy to hold. That is a big plus for me. I love the little compact bottle. But this is Isadora. And Isadora it's indescribable. I don't really know how to describe it. I don't feel like it's really a floral. I don't really feel like it's a fruit. I feel like it's sort of somewhere lusciously in between. And it smells like sunshine to me. This is one that I think works all year round, but because it doesn't really have that creaminess that I like for winter fragrances, I do tend to wear it in the heat of summer on into the fall. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. It's a parfum, so it's long lasting, but it's not overbearing, so you can actually spray it several times and it doesn't, it's not overpowering. You can spray it on your clothes, you can spray it on your skin, and it will wear beautifully and softly, but it will not it won't drive people away. So this is a really excellent fragrance, and if you don't love it, to me it's modern, but it's also classic, so it's just fantastic. Love this one. Two more. The next one is a fragrance that I reserve only for winter. It is one that I hated the first time I smelled it. I detested both of the Terry Mugler, I believe is how you pronounce it, or Mugler fragrances that we have at the store. I don't like Alien. I still don't like Alien. Angel is one that grew on me, and the reason is because when I first smelled it in the jar or in the bottle, I thought it was crazy strong, horribly sweet. It smelled terrible to me, and it's still, when I smell it in the bottle, I hate it. Still do. However, I smelled the body cream, and the body cream to me was so luscious and smelled so much like dessert that I couldn't stop smelling it. I would keep walking by the counter and unscrewing that big honkin' container, which I detest the packaging. I'll get on that in a second. But I would go by and smell just that cream because I loved it so much. So I started to do some research, and these fragrances are not meant to be worn, they're not meant to be sprayed directly on the skin. And I think that's where I had it wrong, because it was so overbearing whenever I would smell people walking by in it, or when it's a refill type situation where you refill it, you have it refilled there at the store. So I would have to refill it for people, and I would completely be covered in that stuff all day, and it would just make me sick. But one day I decided to try it and apply it the way that it said to apply it in the video, the research video that I read. And it said to spray it and then carry your hand up through the mist, or to spray it and walk through it. For the first 15 minutes, I still hate it. But after 15 minutes, it settles and it becomes this delicious, pie scent. I don't know how to explain it really. It's got a little chocolate in there, and a little bit of decadence, almost like ambrosia salad with alcohol in it. I don't know how to explain it, but it's very adult dessert, and it's one of those ones that the longer that it's on, I feel like the better it is. If I spray it and then walk through it and then I come back up to my room and a few hours later, it smells delicious in here. So this is one of those ones that definitely grew on me based on how I applied it. It's called Angel. It's by Terry Mugler. I probably should have held it up earlier. The bottle is supposedly an extreme work of art. I hate it. I hate the packaging. I hate the glittery container that the body cream comes in. I really, really hate this. I don't like how you have to lay it. It's got a flat spot on the bottom. You have to lay it flat on your dresser. I hate the way it looks. I hate that it's blue. There's so much about it I hate. But it is one of the most wonderful winter scents if you can get past all of that initial stuff. And I can't explain it. It smells wonderful to me after a few hours, to the point that it's the one I go to over and over again in the winter for kind of that creamy dessert. It's a gourmand fragrance, which means it's supposed to be a sugar sweets fragrance, not a floral, not a spice, not a fruit. It's more of a gourmand, and I think it was the first official gourmand fragrance that you could get. So that's definitely its claim to fame, and it is, I think, the most successful at that. It's the most successful to me of a high-end perfume at reminding me of dessert. So, Angel. And then last but not least, my all-time favorite fragrance. This is Tresor by Lancome. I don't like the rest of the Lancome fragrances at all, but this one is my all-time favorite for a few reasons. It's very nostalgic for me. I wore this back when I was about 18 years old. I used to rip the little like slips of paper out of magazines and put it in my sock drawer. And I would go to the store and get way too many samples. And now that I see people do that, I'm so sorry, all you people that I got samples from for all those years. This makes me sad. But it is so wonderful. And the only way that I know to describe it, whenever I was back in, like I was 18 and 19, I was obsessed with Bath and Body Works. They had a freesia fragrance and they also had a juicy peach fragrance. And I used to love to layer those two fragrances. The peach fragrance smelled just like a peach Jolly Rancher, and the freesia fragrance was my all-time favorite floral scent. So I think the reason that I was geared towards Tresor is I felt like it kind of married those two things together, and I still do. It's like freesia and peaches in like a pool of creme brulee. It's got a creamy vanilla quality to it at the base, and I absolutely love this fragrance. It's still my all-time favorite. I still go to it over and over again. It's great for year-round because of the florals and the fruits, but it also is great for winter because of the creaminess to it. So this is my favorite. I will say that even though I think the bottle is beautiful and timeless, I hate trying to spray it, mainly because the sprayer is black and you have to look for the hole. Because if you just spray, the hole will spray whichever way and you'll waste your perfume. So you have to make sure you're looking at where the hole is and spraying it properly. And also you have to have a big enough hand to get on top of that right there and spray it. So not the most practical bottle, but still beautiful nonetheless. The top is plastic, the bottom is glass. So that's my collection. Those are my favorites. Please let me know yours and why. I went on a mission when I first started working for Dillard's to find all the best fragrances, the favorite fragrances of my favorite actresses, and universally, I hate them. Private Collection and Shalimar, I believe, were both Grace Kelly's favorite fragrances, and they are both terrible, in my opinion, and I hate Chanel No. 5. So that kind of lets you know where I'm coming from as far as my taste goes, and hopefully this was helpful to you, and yeah, that's about it. We'll see you next time.